This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it, cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement. Yep.
What's going on, Blueprint Nation? Welcome to the Respect My Blueprint podcast, where, as you know, this is a show and platform where we give you the blueprint on how to do shit around here. All right. And today's guest, man, I'm super excited about my guest today because I'm excited about all my guests, right? But this guest right here, ladies and gentlemen, we have somebody that is in the B club, billionaire status club. All right. We're going to talk about that. He's built a platform that has hit the B level. Yes, not often we're able to get this. So I'm super excited. He's not your average fintech CEO. We are talking about a code writing, system breaking, AI inventing rebel here. All right. In the world of home ownership. So I'm super excited. He's been writing AI in 1985 and running $1 billion mortgage empire. He built Angel AI, which we're going to hear about today, to destroy the discrimination that's baked into finance and home ownership. So Forbes, Bloomberg, Yahoo, they all tried to tell his story. But today, guess what? We are going to get the blueprint and hear it absolutely raw, unfiltered. So welcome to the Blueprint Hot Seat. I want to go ahead and welcome my guest today, Pavan Agarwal. How you doing today, my friend?
What an amazing introduction. And I never thought of myself as a rebel. So far from Che Guevara, right? Power to the people. No, not that
Power
kind
to
of
the people.
revolutionary.
There you go. I love it.
Not
I
that
love
kind of
it.
revolutionary. But, but I do, the whole point of the AI is actually, you know what? I take it back. I am that kind of revolutionary.
Okay, look at that. All right, look at that. There you go. There
I'll
you
get
go.
my machete out. It's a machete
There you
AI.
go. Look at that.
Because that's the whole point.
Let's go ahead and start beating the war drums right now and get it cracking, right?
Exactly. The whole point of the AI is to bring power to the people and take it away from the banks and into your pocket.
Right.
And nobody understands how much money, how much power banks take away from you every single day, right? It's hidden. Unless you've been in the industry and grew up in the industry like I have, and you've seen all the twists and turns and all the backroom dealings and how they do this stuff, right? Because money is an incredible weapon. It can be a tool and it can be a weapon. Banks use it as a weapon, and it's all designed to keep them in power and you dependent.
Absolutely.
So I'll go with that. Revolutionary. I'll get my blue beret and we'll go.
And I wholeheartedly agree with you, right? And because there's a big gap in capitalism and building generational wealth, and we could have a whole 1 hour episode about that. But before I do so, right, most of the Blueprint Nation that's being introduced to you now, this is their first time interacting with you. They want to know who is this guy. So I rolled out the red carpet. They say, wait a minute, this guy's in the B club here. So wait a minute, what's up with this guy? So if you could start off, give us a little elevator pitch about yourself, your little bit of how you grew up, where you get started, and what led you to get into the whole AI space.
Sure. So I'm a first generation immigrant. I was born in India, and I think I was like 5-ish when I moved to California. My family moved here. So literally back then, the Indian government lets you leave the country with at most $100. So that's all my dad had was $100 and 3 kids in tow. That's what he had.
Man, God bless him.
But that's, it's a classic immigrant story. I think your family probably not much different, right? Similar
that's
story.
True.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
right.
and that's America's land of opportunity. And my father, he discovered real estate, and that $100, and this is where debt and credit and properly using debt is so important. Borrow money for buying assets. Don't borrow money for expenses, because when you borrow money, not only do you have to pay it back, but you got to pay it back with interest. So if you don't buy if you don't buy assets that are also at least appreciating or yielding, giving you what you call current coupon at the same or greater interest then you have to pay on the money you just borrowed, you're going to lose.
True.
You're going to be in the negative.
Automatically.
So don't borrow money to buy the next latest, greatest iPhone or something like that, or Jordans.
Yeah.
Don't run up your credit card for that fancy dinner someplace that you can't afford. No, use your credit card to buy something that's going to make you money. Otherwise,
Right.
don't use that credit card. So what we
Right.
did was for that $100, and this program existed back then. And actually, here's a tip of the day: is HUD has this program still today in certain communities and certain circumstances where you could buy a HUD repo. That means it's a house that the federal government foreclosed on, and now they're selling it in auction, and you could buy it with $100 down payment. So think about that, right? So he had $100 and he spent it on, not on nice clothes, but he spent it on a house. And he bought his first investment property that way through a HUD repo. Right. So that's proper money management. And you bought the first house, and we were little, but we did everything. That we spent all the money we had on buying the house. And now we gotta repair it, paint it, mow the lawns, clean the bathrooms,
Right.
all of that stuff. We kids worked on that house. We got it rented. We collected rent. My mom, when we moved here, my mom worked at an electronics factory. That was the first job, earning whatever minimum wage, putting the pins on the circuit board or whatever it was, right? So she worked at electronics factory, 9 to 5, right? And then from there she came home, and then she sold Avon. So we used to go sell Avon with her door to door, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So I was an Avon kid, 6 years old,
Oh
selling
man,
Avon.
yeah. But you know what? I'm assuming that also built your skill set and getting into sales, marketing, entrepreneurship as well too. Obviously, right?
Yeah. When you're collecting rent and selling Avon, you get a lot of rejections. People yelling. I mean, collecting rent, and you get people yelling at you, threatening you, slamming the door on you, spitting on you. Right. After a while, it just becomes fun, right? It's like, okay,
Right.
doesn't bother you
You
first.
you develop that tough skin, right? So you almost expect it now when you go to work.
Exactly. And then when you're that young, it doesn't bother you at all. It's just like, whatever, that's life. You don't think
It is
there's
what
no
it is.
ego. The beauty of being young is there's no ego. You're just learning the world. Like, what is the world? How does it work? So take your knocks early.
Good point.
Take your knocks early before your ego develops.
Wow, I love that. So many of the world, most of the world have first been introduced to AI with, ChatGPT a couple years ago, right? 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, you've been playing in this sandbox for
long time.
A long time before that.
It was like 1984. I was like 15 or 16. I wrote my first AI program. Yeah, right. But AI has been around since the 30s, so it's not a big deal, right? And there's actually some ancient texts that reference similar concepts as AI. So I think the mathematics and the thought process behind AI has been around for thousands of years. It's just the electronics exist now in this century, in this time period. And what has happened, the difference between 1980 and 2025, and why we see AI everywhere, is AI is so computation and power hungry. So the memory and the high-speed chips didn't exist before, that they exist today. And because we have so much great high-speed chips and so much great memory, you get gigabytes, on the size of your thumbnail, you get gigabytes, that it makes AI possible. Okay. Right.
True.
But the science, the fundamental science, it's largely been the same. There's obviously been great series of step breakthroughs in it. And one of the big breakthroughs was in 2010, Google's AI, Google Go, broke Go, right? Defeated the world champion Go players, which is a very difficult thing to do with AI. Because there's, at that time it was a breakthrough because there's infinite number of, it's harder than chess. There's infinite number of moves that you can make in Go. Right. So they actually Google applied 100-year-old algorithm called the Monte Carlo search tree to the problem, and they beat the world champion Go player. And all it's doing is just looking forward and keeping track of those possibilities and guessing what the best path is that way. So it's just a lot of high speed computation and data crunching, and because the power exists today, it can do it really fast. So it looks like it's thinking. When it's really not thinking. It's doing lots of calculations
in the background, right?
in the
Okay.
background.
So
Yeah.
so let me ask you, because so you've obviously have great experience in AI. Obviously, even what you just mentioned, how it's been around for quite some time. So your first, well, I want to say your first, but you decided to build an AI platform called Angel AI, which obviously it helps into finance and home ownership loans and everything. So why get into that field there with AI, and why was your desire to go into that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it goes back to my youth in real estate. Okay, so now it comes around. So
Okay.
the family, we own now a variety of real estate across Southern California, and my parents are real estate brokers, and we're doing deals, and then we decided to open up a mortgage company, a finance company in 1980. So that made me about
Okay.
11 years old in 1980 when we opened the finance company. So it's like with everything else, we all work together, right? It's child
Right.
labor,
Family business. Right.
That's what children are for, free labor, right?
Right. Exactly. Free work.
Right. So all I've known is real estate and finance and lending and money management. It's like when you're around it with your parents, you're working on it, and whether even you know, at the early age, I was just vacuuming the office and cleaning the desk and stuff, right? But I'm hearing it, and it's
Right.
around you all the time, and I'm involved, and I'm seeing it. And you just learn automatically. So for everyone listening,
True.
your best teacher are your parents. Right? Stay, whatever business they're in, pay attention and listen to and observe what's happening. You'll learn so much in that
True.
process. And
Okay.
then a year or two later, Dad says, write a computer program to automate some of these things. So I'd never written software before. Like, okay, well, it can't be too hard. We'll figure it out.
Right.
So
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah,
we bought a
sure.
computer
One,
and
two, three. Yeah. It's like, come
yeah.
on.
He's like, it's just math. You're good at math. You figure it out. You can do anything, kid.
Yeah. He
And
just
that's
threw you in the
actually,
fire. That's that child labor again. There
yeah,
you go.
there we go. There we go. He's always his message to me was over and over again, you can do anything.
Love it.
Uh, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You can do anything. Don't listen.
So,
You can hear people. He used to tell me all the time. You can hear people that you need to have this degree. You need to have gone to this school or this or that or the other thing. And he's like, don't listen to anybody. None of that is important. You can do anything. You just have to want to do it. And
okay.
every single day, I can't tell you how many times I heard that over and over again. Right. So that's the best coach I've ever had. Right. And
Okay.
when you're that young, you just listen and you don't realize, but he's like, it's like inception, right? He planted that seed in my head.
Inspiring you, right? Because you're just a
But
sponge at that point. So you're
yeah,
soaking up these words
exactly.
of wisdom that he's imparting on you and everything.
Right. And when you're young and you hear these things when you're young and you hear it over and over again, it's just like it becomes part of your DNA at that point. Right? So it's really important. So anybody listening, you have kids, it's the words you use with your kids, because whatever you're telling them, it's going to be them the rest of their life. So just send those positive, strong, confidence building messages day in, day out, because that's what will become embedded into their DNA.
Words are powerful, living, breathing
Especially with
things.
children.
Absolutely. Especially
Right.
with children. So true.
Because it's going to
Okay.
shape their brains. Right. And so he say this to me all the time. So now Angel AI, our motto is nothing is beyond reach. So those are basically a simple way of communicating my father's words. Right. And so
Okay.
we want that message embedded in everyone else. I want the whole world to have that embedded. You can do it. Don't look to somebody else. No one's going to do it for you. Anyone who's offering to do it for you, they're going to take more than they give you. So do it on your own. You can.
Do it
You
on.
can and you will.
Okay.
Right. So just
Awesome.
remember,
Awesome.
nothing is beyond reach, and you can do it, whatever it is that you want to do. You want to be the world's greatest artist, the world's greatest sports person, world's greatest businessman, whatever, whether it's a small business, running a local restaurant, you just say, I can do it. I'm going to be the best at it because I am the best.
That's so. What was the problem that you were looking to solve with Angel AI?
Well, in the early days, we didn't call it Angel AI. We branded that a couple of years ago. In the early days,
Okay.
the problem was simply, there's too much manual labor involved. Manual labor in producing a loan makes the loan process expensive, slow, makes it biased because it becomes dependent. Each person, every person that's working for you has a different perspective. There's no consistency, right? So bias isn't just
True.
about discrimination by people, but it's also about consistency. It's about,
That's true.
by having rules and sticking to the rules and everyone being applied equally and fairly, right? So by being fair and equal, right? It shouldn't,
Obviously.
right? And a bank shouldn't decline you simply because one employee at the bank that day is having a bad day,
Wow. Good point. Good
right?
point. True. True.
And the reality is, in this business, happens all the time.
All the time, literally.
All the
I
time.
mean, that's not hard to believe. Obviously, we went through the period of redlining and everything like that. And even after, there was the overturning of redlining, there was still a huge part of discrimination where just individuals, they still
Yep.
discriminated and held biased against, home ownership. So I could
Yep.
completely agree with that.
Yep. And I was a loan officer in the 90s, and I took advantage of redlining in the other sense, in the positive sense, right? Because
Right.
I focused in the underserved areas like Hawthorne, Linwood, Compton, Watts, right? Because all the other banks weren't there. Like, there's no competition. I said, these guys,
No
why are people?
competition. Yeah.
I'd ask myself, why are people so stupid? This is good business. I said,
Yeah.
if a family in Watts will make their payments no differently than a family in Newport Beach. In fact, more likely,
Exactly.
because they really want that house.
Right.
So as a loan officer, you just go in and you meet with the people, get involved with the community, and you just walk away with tons of business because there was no competition, right?
Mm.
So other people were
Okay.
redlining. I saw opportunity. And that's the other lesson in business, is to make money in business, look at where other people aren't going. Just because, hey, all the big boys are here, so there must be something exciting here. No, stay away from where everyone else is at. Go where they're not at. That's where that's where the opportunity is.
Right. It's like the book, The Red Ocean and the Blue Ocean Strategy, right? You want to
Exactly.
be able to go right
Right.
where, not where they're dominating and you could easily be swallowed up by competition. Go where, where you could actually be the shark in the area that you're in. So you're
Yeah.
right.
Right. Exactly. So, and it's really hard. It takes a hard discipline to do that, because it's cool to be where everyone else is, and it's easy to justify, right? You can fall into the argument, well, I'm here because look, everyone else is here, and people will believe you, people will listen, and they'll follow. Okay. So,
Facts.
right. So it's easier sell, in a way, you can say, if you're where everyone else is, your employees will more likely listen and things like that. But in the long run, right, don't focus on what's cool, focus on what's good business. Because we're in it. What's cool ultimately
Mm.
is your bank account. How much money you have in your bank account? That's what's cool. That's what matters at the end of the day, right?
Right.
So you can go
Watching
down
that
a
bread
path.
stack up.
Yes, exactly. You can go down a path that looks and feels cool at the moment, but it's not making you a lot of money. And the other path, which doesn't feel cool, it doesn't feel popular, which is against the grain, but there's a huge blue ocean there. That's where you should be.
Right.
So don't
So
imitate, be original, don't imitate, and just go at it. And that's, essentially how we came up with Angel AI, is that, we didn't imitate. We just said, we're going to automate this. And it wasn't cool to say that back then, even today, it's not cool to say, hey, we can build the technology to do things that everyone else is doing by hand. Going through this process
so
last 30 years, I got asked all the time, like, why are you doing this? What a waste of money. Why your time is better spent doing this or that or the other thing. I'm like, no, right? Everyone else is doing that. Why would I want to do something that everyone else is doing? Right? Let me do it
true.
better. Let me do it right. Let me do it my way. Right? It's my way, my personality, my business, right? Don't fall into that argument of I'm going to do it like everyone else is going to do it. And it's a compelling argument. And you're going to get a lot of pushback, a lot of heat from your partners, from your regulators, from your bankers. But just be ready to just have that confidence to stand up and say, "Oh, this is the better way. This is my vision. This is the future." And we stuck with it. We stuck with it for decades, and we kept building and kept getting better. Ultimately, right. And it didn't take, and actually not ultimately, it didn't take very long for us to see and reap the fruits of the technology that we're building. So we build a technology, we apply it. Hey, we're making money immediately. It works. And we build more. And we add a little bit of, internet technology, a little bit of artificial intelligence, a little bit of this, just keep adding a little bit at a time. And next thing you know is we've got state-of-the-art systems.
Wow.
And we're delivering economics in ways no one else can.
So let me make sure I'm correct me if I'm wrong. So the software that you've built, it automates the entire the underwriting process when it comes to home ownership. So all of the manual aspects, and there's so many. I can't, it's funny actually. Me and my wife, we're in the process of buying a home right now, and we're going through this such a strenuous process. So from what I'm understanding, you have a software that eliminates not all of it, but most of the human intervention and all of that subjective aspect to it, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. So if Susie, the underwriter, had a argument with her spouse in the morning, she doesn't take it out on you when she's underwriting your file.
Right. Wow.
Right.
That's that.
Right.
And as crazy as it may sound, sorry to cut you off, and I want you to finish your point. Where we put a contract in on a second house. The first house, without naming too many names or getting too much into it, the first house we lost because of the emotions of individuals involved, believe it or not. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
That's right. So to solve that problem, because the AI is so accurate, right? And I trust it so much, I said I put my money where my mouth is. So whatever the AI says, if you talk, so Wesley, if you go into Angel AI and you talk to her right now and give her your information, and she says, "Okay, Wesley, you're approved," right? She'll probably say something like, "You're approved, provided you give me these documents."
Right.
Okay. So I can verify the information you gave me. So she'll give you an answer, something of that nature. Or you can ask her very specific questions, like, I make part-time income, I make this, I make that, and can I use it to qualify? And she'll give you very specific answers. So the bottom line is, whatever she says, I will honor. So, and that's always the problem in this business is Susie, the underwriter, said something in the morning. You had a call with her in the morning. She said, "Okay, Wesley, give me your pay stub and you're good to go." Right? You send her the pay stub, and then she says, "No, I told you I needed 2 pay stubs, not 1." Right? Right?
I see what you're
she'll
saying.
say, "Oh no, you didn't hear me right. I needed a bank statement also." And then you're thinking, right? Banks, look, a little inside baseball here. Banks gaslight their customers all the time. When they screw up and forget to ask for something,
that's not hard to believe.
There's a lot of gaslighting going on where they say, "Oh no, I said this," or "No, that's not what it means," right? And you, an irrational person, will sit there, scratch their head, and saying, "What? Really?" And it's incredibly stressful because you assume, especially like, "Hey, this is a big bank, big national licensed bank or whatever," right? And so you assume they're going to be telling you the truth, right? So then it makes psychologically you're all discombobulated and stressed out because, like, okay, what the heck just happened here, right? But the reality is they're gaslighting you, and insiders in this business know that. So when you're an insider and you're working with the bank, you're like, you know what to ignore. Everyday consumers who don't know the business, who don't know how it actually runs, you get thrown through the ringer.
Yeah, you get frustrated. I mean,
yeah.
And I could attest to that. And many people who watching this show, anybody who's went through the home ownership process, which you could attest to this, is probably the second worst thing in the world than getting like a tooth surgery, right?
Because root canals, worse than a root canal.
Worse than a root canal, yeah, because literally is every day they're asking you for different documents, and some of these documents, it's almost impractical. They want you to go down, to get certain things that you're just like, what the hell, right? But and I'm assuming most execs when you went into this full disruptor mode, right, in building this AI software, there was a lot of pushback that you was experiencing as well too, right?
Yeah, the pushback's mainly from the industry because at the beginning they were like, "You're dreaming. It's never going to happen." And when it's actually working, then they're scared of it, and then they're trying to find any which way to discredit it, right? So we've gone through all
Right.
those cycles. The 4 phases of denial or whatever it's called, right? So the industry's gone past anger now, and now they're finally into acceptance that, yeah, you know what, you're not gonna get rid of us, and
So it's like,
so,
yeah, keep playing with your computer code over there. We're just gonna stay in
yeah, yeah,
our typical cubicles and push these papers manually, right?
yes, exactly, and now they don't know what to do. So I look, I grew up in this industry. I grew up in real estate, grew up in finance, grew up in technology. I've worked with bankers, Wall Street bankers, and community bankers my whole life. Been ins and outs of Wall Street. I was there and sitting on the trading desk at Deutsche Bank as Bear Stearns collapsed, and I saw it firsthand. I had a front row seat. The movie The Big Short. I saw that happen right in front of my eyes. Right. So
Man.
right. So and I saw how the traders, like a year or a year and a half before it all collapsed, all the traders knew this was junk that they were selling, but they were selling the junk anyways. I've seen the corruption, and there's just so much money, and it's so easy for these guys to get swept up in the flow of the money,
Right.
right? And not think about the damage that they're doing.
Oh,
They get
absolutely.
hyper
Right.
myopic and just like, okay, let me make a quick buck today and not think about who I'm going to hurt tomorrow. Right.
Right.
It was rampant. Every trader on Wall Street, just about most traders on Wall Street knew they were selling junk, but their commissions were so big that they happily sold it. They didn't care.
I mean, we know about this, right, from the dot-com bubble to the latest 2008 crisis where, the subprime mortgages. And anybody who watched the movie, I think it was called The Big Short, right? With
Short.
Michael Borrow and everything like that. Yeah, which I've watched that movie twice. That's how fascinating it is. I highly encourage anybody to watch that movie. It will give you a real tough lesson on like what you just shared there. But, I love what you're doing because what you're actually doing is solving a problem for the American dream. Home ownership is the number one pillar for the American dream for most Americans and just anybody in this country. And as a first generation immigrant, I want to know, I want to applaud you, first of all, for getting into this field because to me, that's one of the greatest impacts, right? But let's talk about discrimination because you talk about how banks are, you gave us insight, they're gaslighting people all day. Well, not all day, they're gaslighting their consumers and everything. What are some of also the unseen ways that people are still getting denied for home loans nowadays?
The biggest way is that your app will never get submitted.
Wow. Are you serious?
Yes, because it's a
Not even a
loophole.
fighting chance? Not even
Yeah,
getting a submission of the application?
right.
Like, damn.
Yeah. So that's the loophole because there's something called the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act. Okay. And which requires every bank to report to the federal government every loan application and what happened to it, right? But the loophole is that if there's no loan application taken, then they don't have to report it. Okay.
I
Right.
see.
Okay.
I
So
see.
if you look at the
Right.
headlines, I mean, there's some very big banks. I think there was a big credit union, VA credit union. There was a big national bank in the last 12 months that was caught up in redlining and discriminatory lawsuits and practices. I think CNN did an expose on one of the big credit unions. And so what they do to get around this reg, the redlining regs, and they'll say, okay, we got all these. Hey, we're not redlining. We got all these loan officers in the inner city or whatever, right? But what happens is those apps don't even get
Mm-hmm.
submitted. So they can put on a show that they're serving those communities, but unless unless the borrower meets very strict, very high bar, right? Then the loan officers are trained that if the bar doesn't meet this very high bar, don't even take the app, don't even submit the app.
Don't even submit it, right? It's
Yeah,
just
right.
like,
So
yeah,
if they don't
wow.
submit the app, then what happens is their ratios, their approval ratios look good. If they submit the app, then it would light up as such a high rate, right? So I'm giving you all the
Which is obviously bad for optics of the bank and everything like
yes,
that. Yeah.
This is a very, I'm actually the stuff I'm saying today in this podcast. And Wesley, you're a great interviewer because you pull it out of me. This is stuff I've never openly spoken about before. But
Oh,
you
wow.
got
Thank you. I
You got that
appreciate
smile
it.
and that style that gets people to open up, right? So your
Well,
audience
again,
has
remember, in our last conversation, smiling is
yeah.
half the battle.
That's right. Your audience is getting inside information here that nobody in the industry would dare talk about this stuff. So anyway, so that's how they avoid lighting up with the government.
But I mean, hold on, Pavan, this is scary, because this is now, it almost goes back in the early days, right? Fortunately, there's a black stain in this country where, discrimination, slavery, and there's a period was running rampant in this country. And you'd think now in 2025, with the advancements we've made economically and also as a society, that we wouldn't be experiencing these things, these discriminatory practices, and the wealth gap would start being able to shrink, and black and brown skinned individuals would have the same level playing field. Sad to say, this is still going on in 2025 right now.
There's two comments to that. Yes, there's a race issue here, because certain races, and it's clear that there's a number of third-party independent analysis that's done on this, where black borrowers are almost, well, I'll put it this way: for every 2 black borrowers that are declined, 1 should have been approved. So just think about that.
What?
Yeah. So if a bank declines 2 borrowers today, 1 of them they should have actually approved instead of declined. That's years. If you go back last 6 years of data, government data, and that's just the data that was reported. I'm not even talking about the ones where they never took the app, who never got registered in the system. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
But it gets even worse. But it's beyond a race issue. It's not about race, because if you look at veteran borrowers, for every 4 veterans that were declined, 3 should have been approved.
3 out of 4?
Yeah, 3 out of 4.
So you're telling me between just veterans and black borrowers, for every 6 that walks into the bank, 4 out of those 6 should have actually gotten approved out of that is a 70-80%. Yeah, 5 out. That's 90% right there.
Yeah.
And God bless you, because obviously now you have developed a solution that eliminates that, or helps to eliminate that, right?
Yeah.
So
it actually has eliminated it. We have the data, many years of data, where when you look at our stats, it's equal across, almost equal. There's some variations, and nothing's not perfect, but nearly equal across all races. And there was a study out of Lay University, about a year ago, a professor out of Lay University did a study on AI and discrimination. So this professor took 1,000 random loans right out of the HMDA data, and ran it through an AI, okay, and asked the AI to approve or decline the loans, and the AI declined loans that, again, with the same level of discrimination. The AI had declined black borrowers twice as more, and so on, right? So the same discrimination matrix when he ran that data through the AI, okay?
Right.
And then he said, okay, let me try this again, but let me take the race out of the input, okay? And then he get the exact same loan data without the race. Okay. And then guess what happened? Is now the AI approved on a balanced way. Every race was balanced. Okay. So what happens because look, the AI doesn't care, it doesn't know anything. It's just a computer, right? It doesn't know.
That's it, right.
Right. So why did the question is, so why did race make an impact on the AI and not make an impact when you took it out? It's because what the AI is a big pattern machine. And it has historical patterns, right? The AI is a reflection. It's a mirror of ourselves.
Right. It only outputs what it's put in as far as what it knows from the internet and what front history gives it. Right.
And since historically, let's say black borrowers are declined twice as much as white borrowers, and it had that input as black borrowers, so its answers had to match past patterns. So
Right.
that's just yet another proof that there's this long history of this bias in this industry, a long history of basically banks gaslighting us, as we were talking about.
And that's, excuse my French, that's effed up right there. There's really no way you
That's
could, because again, you're talking about the number one pillar of wealth for many individuals,
that's
right?
right.
Especially
That's
as
right.
immigrants. They
But
come,
it's not just pillar wealth. It's a pillar of dignity and self-confidence. When you get declined, look, if someone in your extended family gets declined by the bank, you're less likely to even try.
true. That is
Right.
true.
So if your uncle got
That is
declined
true.
and you
So it's a
respect your
snowball
uncle,
effect.
right? So you say your uncle is a hardworking guy, honest, decent person, working hard, has savings, goes to the bank, gets declined, and then what are you going to be like? Oh man, if my uncle couldn't get approved, I'm not ever going to get. I'm going to try. And you give up, and that creates this
Yeah,
sort of give up mentality, right? And that's why it's so
that
important
makes
to
sense.
solve this problem once and for all, right? So that it's sort of like jump starting communities again and getting and delivering that hope and delivering the idea and having that inception of the idea that nothing is beyond reach. Everyone has to believe it and know it and be part of their DNA. Nothing is beyond reach. Don't let some greedy third party bank tell you that you're not worthy.
You're not worthy enough, right?
Take control. Take control back in your hands.
So
The
let me ask you a
revolution.
question. There you go. That's that rebel talk. So,
Yeah,
right.
the
I
rebel
love it.
talk.
I love it. Right. So now let me ask you, right? Because, the industry is dominated by the Wells Fargo's, the Bank of America's, the JP Morgan Chase and everything like that. Is the goal is to have these banks end up adopting Angel AI?
No, my goal is to put them out of business.
Whoa.
It's real
Their
simple.
whole mortgage department's out of
Yeah, right,
business.
right. Well, they're largely out of business. They do such a shitty job with the mortgages, with any kind of consumer credit. They're just awful, right? And
Right.
we're just and we have the technology. We're years and years ahead of anybody else. We have the funding, we have the capital. Right? Thankfully I've been able to do well in my life, and I'm using that now to just deliver nationally to communities all over proper financial services, fair, ethical financial services with a fair and ethical AI that has been trained with the same values that my parents raised me with. This isn't big tech Silicon Valley trained to be evil, trying to take over, everything from you.
There you go.
Silicon Valley
Right.
AI, they just want to take over. This is we're a family owned business. My kids are in the business now, so we're into third generation. It's about those family values. It's an AI trained with family values. It's an AI trained for helping the little guy. That's what we're about.
I love it. I love it. And that kind of answers because, that was going to be my next question. And you've sort of answered it, like what does legacy means to you? Right. And obviously you just answered it there by saying how, despite you being successful in your career, you're still looking to be able to serve and be able to put community and good stewardship first in order to be able to go ahead and share your platform to be able to end a huge, huge problem that you've witnessed and recognized early on.
Yeah, when it comes to the question of legacy, I'll put it this way. The universe is billions of years old, and we're just one universe in an infinite number of multi-universes. And then we're one little person in that universe, living for, if you're lucky, 100 years. So it's just a speck. We're just a flash of light. Okay. So to stop and
Right.
think that legacy, for me to say legacy is important, that means that my little spark of light, that I'm going to change the universe. I'm spending my time worrying about how I'm going to change the universe after I'm gone, right? That's as extreme narcissism as it can be, right? For me to worry, I have so many things to worry about today. What I have to do today, take care of my family, take care of my community, and do what's right for this tiny moment that I'm here, right? And to stop and think what I have to do for what I want to leave when I'm not here, right? It's as narcissistic as it gets. So I, I don't really
Yeah.
don't think about legacy. I think about duty and responsibility and what what is needed. I just want to complete my duty, and the rest will take care of itself.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, one final question, Pavan, because you've been such an awesome interview, and what the audience have heard today has not only probably a shock and awe, but also been mind blowing and everything. But you've turned your father's company into $1 billion beast now, right? So, and you mentioned he's giving you some lessons growing up, that you can be anything, never give up. What is one piece of advice or one piece of lesson you would share with the audience in their approach, their wanting to build the next Angel AI or wanting to build the next $1 billion product or service? What's the one piece of advice you would share with them?
Right. Well, quantum mechanics has shown over and over again, I mean, so many experiments, and in fact, a Nobel Prize was just won 2 years ago by 3 guys that proved this, that they actually proved it, that your consciousness, right? Consciousness creates reality. Okay. So they can prove that at the quantum scale, but I believe that's how life works. Your consciousness creates your reality. So if you're feeling unlucky, if you're feeling like the universe is just everything wrong is happening, it's everything, if you feel like nothing goes your way, just change your consciousness. Start those affirmations and say, everything is going my way. Nothing can be better. I am indestructible. I am capable of doing anything I want. Visualize it. Take the time every day to meditate and visualize, what does that future look like? What is that happy you, that content you look like? Visualize it, conceive it, bring it into your consciousness. You bring it into your consciousness, that will become your reality.
Absolutely. It's the law of energy. I think, I highlighted it in our conversation in the interview that we've had right before this is, what you've put out there is what you get back. It's like the boomerang, right? And, that's why I'm a firm believer in just waking up with a positive mental attitude. And, if you're having a crappy day, if you're having a shitty day, stay in bed. Don't even go out in the world.
What I would say, if you're having a crappy day and shitty day, don't stay in bed. Go hit the gym. Go for a walk.
Right.
Walk on the beach, or get on your bicycle, or get out of that environment and mix it up.
Yeah, good point.
Right. If you're having a shitty day, don't pick up the phone and try to make decisions. Definitely don't do that. But do something that will just disrupt your schedule. Revolutionize your day. This is a podcast for evolution. Revolutionize your day. Do something different, out of the box. Break it up. Break up your thought pattern. Break up your routine, and that shitty day will become your best day.
Good. I love it. Pavan, listen, man, you have rocked the world of a lot of the viewers today from just what you shared. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the audience now, they definitely want to connect with you. They want to learn more about you. They want to see what you have going on in the future. So if you could share a little bit, where can they follow you? Also, anything that you have up and coming, any events, any, share about Angel AI, anything that you can go ahead and leave the audience so they can further learn more about you. If you could do so, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. To learn more about Angel AI, just go to angelai.com, ANGELAI.com. Now, one hint here, do not go to angel.ai. That's another company, and it's like a virtual girlfriend site. Has nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. It's Angel AI, ANGELAI.com.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, best ways, I'm most active on Instagram. So you can follow me on Instagram, and all the notices about events. And we have events all over the country, actually all over the world. I'm going to be in Saudi Arabia in about a week's time. And this weekend, I'm in San Diego at the National Association of Hispanic Realtors. The national conference, going to be 5,000 realtors there. If you're in the area, register. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be like 5,000 plus realtors. We're running the 2-day AI and crypto track. There's a big AI capability, big crypto capabilities inside Angel AI. We're having some of the greatest minds in crypto speaking at the event. So if you want to start learning about Bitcoin, start learning about blockchain, great place to start at this event. And plus, learn about real estate and learn about returns and lending. NAHREP, NAHREP.org in San Diego this weekend. Check it out if you're in the area. I'm in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, on October 1st. So if you're in Riyadh and listening, ping me on Instagram, and I'll extend an invite to you, and just follow me on Instagram. And my Instagram handle is just my name, Pavan Agrawal, PAVAN_AGARWAL_AI. Okay, that's my Instagram handle. Follow me on there. All the event notices and all the great stuff. A lot of fun content there.
Awesome. On, Blueprint Nation, let's go out and show some love. I don't know how many of our viewers here have an opportunity to be, to have the ability to go to Saudi Arabia. But hey, guys, if you go ahead and pry yourself away from work and able to make it to Saudi Arabia, you'll definitely check out Pavan, as he's building something that's revolutionary. That's been the key word for today's episode. Revolutionary, right?
Viva la revolution.
There you go.
Got to get my blue beret.
There you go. I love it. And the war drums as well, too. Let's make sure we got those war drums beating, okay? Yeah. Pavan, great to have you here. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep serving the community. Keep creating the American dream for a lot of individuals. Me and you are in two very important spaces. You in home ownership, me in personal finance. Man, you marry those two things together, you're really opening doors for generations for people in this country. So I love what you're doing, brother. So, and Blueprint Nation, listen, check out Pavan. Go ahead and connect with him on Instagram. Learn more about Angel AI. We're going to have the link to Angel AI in the description. Check it out. Listen, especially my homeowners out there, if you're experiencing hardship in home ownership, we may have just found the solution for you. So definitely want to check it out. We are going to have these episodes, of course, as you know, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, every 7 p.m., where we give you the blueprint on how to do shit. And as you can see, we did not fail today. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great day and catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.
Blueprint, yeah. This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it, cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement. Yep, Wesley Paul with Blueprint. This guests are exclusive. Get on and tune in and then learn some new tips about credit, finance, investment. A nice chance to get rich and buy land. Flip it, quick 9 bands. Learn all the skills from Wesley did it. Learn how to build successful business. Run up a mill and get the digits. Run up a mill. Look, safe place where guests are speaking. Based off financial freedom. All facts, no cap, believe it. Podcast, you have to see it.